I started giving away or spending the last money that I had. I called my bank account because when I do something, I want to do it really good. So I called my bank and I quit my bank and I cut my bank card. And literally, I did it so I had nothing to fall back on. Parts of me now think, why am I doing this? And another part knows it was part of a bigger picture. And it really served me in deeper ways that I cannot even explain in words. But, anyways, so that was the start of something that I had never thought of was even possible. And I had never thought of that I would be able to do something like that, or I would be wanting to do something like that, as I come from a place of having even anxiety to go to the supermarket and buy my foods, and experience a lot of depression, a lot of moments that I didn't want to live anymore, and really deep social anxieties. My traveling helped a lot with that, and I was really diving deep in a lot of emotional healing within myself. But then this step, wow. So before I knew it, because then I thought, okay, but I'm not in Norway yet, so how am I going to do it? You know, it invites you to become really creative. That's what it was doing for me. So I was like, okay, so I need to hitchhike to Norway because, yeah, I didn't have money anymore. And I hitchhiked to Norway from the Netherlands. And that was already a really beautiful journey. And that was already a moment that life started showing me, or that money started showing me, I'm still here, because in every ride I got, people started giving me money. And I was like, in the beginning, I didn't want to take it. I was like, no, because I said, but then I also saw that it was creating a lot of disappointment because people were really giving from their hearts and they were so inspired by what I was about to do. And they just wanted to contribute. So I could see that it was like, oh, they wanted to give and I was not receiving, and like something was blocking there, and it was not a really nice feeling for both of us. So then I was, okay, I need to change that. So along my journey when I was walking, because during the walk it continued, these people that I bumped into, they were giving me food but also money. So yeah, at one point I started accepting the money and told myself I'm not going to use it for myself, but I'm going to pass it on. So I was just receiving the money and carrying it with me until I met a person that I felt, hey, this person can use the money. And then I was giving the money to this in this situation. And that was super nice to do. So some things that I learned is, I don't really know how to bring a lot of structure into this story because it's so wide, and this is the first time I'm sharing about it in this video. I mean, I shared about it in other videos where I was interviewed, and then that's easier because then someone is asking questions. But this is such a big topic. So if you have any questions around this theme, feel free to ask them in the comments and I will create another video or respond to you like that. But one of the things that I learned from it is, you know, we are carried by a bigger field always. And when we tap into our intuition, what I really had to do in the deepest ways possible, really, really tuning into my own intuition and feeling, yeah, I mean, I was walking through Norway. I didn't have money to buy a place to sleep or to buy food. I was literally surrendering myself in the deepest ways to life and like, okay, show me, show me. How does this work? And I have to say, I walked for a couple of months, and it really showed me that always it works out, like in ways that we cannot even imagine, if we continue to have an open heart and trust and listen to our intuition. Magically, things will appear that we need in that moment. And did I have moments that I was scared? Of course, I was scared to death. And did I have moments that it was so uncomfortable? Yes. Did I have moments that I was thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Many moments. But it also really taught me to go through these moments, and that that's okay, and to breathe through it. And I didn't have a choice. I was in that situation. There was no way back. I had to go through it, through the fears, through the uncomfort, and learn that in every moment I can make a choice. What do I choose? Am I gonna go and continue into this fear, or am I gonna stay into this trust and come back to my heart, and of course let this emotion happen? I mean, I had days that I was walking through such extreme weather. Like it was days that it was raining, just raining, pouring, and I was just walking there in nature in the middle of nowhere. Like the trail was slippery. I was just falling and sliding and crashing my way through this trail. And then I had to sleep outside while everything was wet. And I mean, I had a raincoat, but when it's raining, it doesn't help anymore, right? But then you have to continue because I was there. I mean, what did I want to do? So I just had to go through it and walk and just expand my limits, expand my knowledge of the power I carry within. And I hear my feminine like inside of me, like, yeah, I didn't always really take good care of my feminine side in that time, and that's okay. I mean, I was exploring a different part, and that's also one of the things that I learned. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we can experience things in life, and then the next day everything can change by a choice we make. So there were moments that it was really harsh. There were moments that, yeah, I was walking for hours and hours and hours, and I was just in the middle of nowhere, and I see there is a storm coming, that there is such a dark sky and like lightning and thunder and a big storm. And then I was like, okay, I can go into this panic. And, also in that moment, there is a choice. I can go into this panic and be like, oh my gosh, what to do, or I can, okay, witness the storm, feel the fear, feel like, shit, what am I gonna do? Am I safe? Where am I gonna sleep? I cannot hide anywhere, and then no, oh yeah, wait, come back to the trust. What do I feel now? My intuition tells me, okay, just walk, continue to walk, and trust and trust and trust and trust. And then just walking, and seeing the storm coming, and trusting, without knowing what's on the other side. And always in these moments, something magical happened. And this is also because I chose to continue to stay in trust and to know and believe fully that it's gonna work out no matter how. And there would always be appearing suddenly a little shed in the middle of nowhere in nature, that there was this little shed, what a little wooden house. And this one time I was like so happy, but then I was like, okay, let the door be open, because sometimes, yeah, the doors are locked. Let the door be open. So I was like walking there, and it was quite difficult to get in because I could see that it was not used for a long time, and the door was open. So I went in, and there was like a little table and a mattress, and on the table there was this newspaper that was laying there for a long time, and it was like 10 years before or something. So I was like, wow, this is like 10 years that no one was here. What the fuck? And then there was this little box, and I opened it, and there was a stove inside. And I opened the box, and there was wood inside of the box. So it was dry wood with a little stove and a mattress that I was really grossed out by. But, you have to expand your limits. So, and then the storm came, and I was in this house, and I could even make a fire, and I could make my food warm, and just staying a little bit warm while the storm outside. And then I was sitting there with this little fire, and I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't even have thought of that this was possible. Like, something inside of me was like, I'm gonna be stuck in the storm, and I'm gonna be, hiding under this rock, and I'm gonna be in danger. And but then I was like, no, because I know I'm carried, and I have the power. So definitely one of the things that I learned in deep ways is that we have the power. If we can come back to our hearts and choose the vibration you want to be in, and that's not always easy, then you will create or change your reality from that way. And I think that's so important now to remember in the time that we are in with the world, because things that we grasp on, and we got our safety out, it will be gone. It's dying, it's falling away. And to really, really know again, because that was all outside of ourselves. We learned that the safety is outside of us. It's something that's, there, but it's actually you. It's us. Like, we have this inside. And to really, really remember this and come back to this knowing in the deepest ways possible. And I practice this in the deepest ways possible by having these experiences in life and not even knowing why in that moment. And now I know it was preparing me for all of that, to be here for myself and also for you, and to share this, and there are people who are walking this path before these things are happening, because it's needed now that we remind each other and ourselves of this. Because thank you for being here. It helps me as well to share about this now and to remind myself again, like, oh my gosh, yes. I mean, how can I doubt again that life doesn't work that way? Because I experienced it in such a deep, deep, deep ways. So it's beautiful to now, share this, because when was this? When was this? I think it's about 6 years ago. I don't know for sure anymore. I'm not really. And anyways, time is changing as well. Like, the linear time that we knew, it's also becoming much more liquid again, and much more the real sense of time, that the present, the future, and the past is all happening simultaneously. And we are just remembering that again and experiencing this in deeper ways again. One other thing that I really learned during this travel, during this walk, is my own energy that I send out when I want to receive something. And, there is a lot of focus around giving unconditionally, but can I receive unconditionally? And that's something that was a really, really interesting topic that got a lot of light on in this journey. Because sometimes I was walking through a little village, and then there was a supermarket, and then I was feeling, okay, I'm gonna go into the supermarket and ask if they have food that it's out of date, or they're not using anymore, and I can receive without paying, because I didn't have money. So it was interesting, because the first couple of times that I walked in and I asked, I was asking from a way that I wasn't unconditionally. because I already had this thing in my head, like, of course they're gonna give this, because it's such a waste if they just throw it away, and it would be like so stupid if they, say no. So man, they have to give that to me, right? But if you ask with unconsciously this energy underneath, I was asking without being unconditionally myself. So the first times I got no's all the time. I walked in and then I was frustrated and angry, and I was like, man, what is this stupid country? Because they were like, yeah, no, there are rules. We are not allowed to give it away. And also, I had this condition of, okay, I will ask this in the stores because they have to give this to me. And also being limiting myself that there are other ways, even if I ask in the store. But to really, can you ask for something and stay open in all the ways it can come to you? Right? So I was now so fixated on, okay, I need to ask in the stores because that's my way how I can get food then. And of course, these are the parts that are not used to totally being open and surrendering to this flow of life and like let it come in the magical ways that I cannot think of with my head, right? So yeah, I was frustrated, and every time, and of course, when I had the first experience, it was making it even worse because the next door I was already conditioned with this. Oh, man, the next door they said no because the rules in Norway and so it was even worse, right? Because I already went in with this frustrated energy, and then I became aware of it at one point. I was sitting with myself, and I was like, "Why is this not working? What is this?" And then I was like going inside and reflecting on it. And then I suddenly realized it's me. I am sending this energy out, and that's what I attract, of course. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a beautiful practice. So the next time I was so aware of that, and I was like, I'm still going to walk into the store, but with a totally different energy and with a totally different openness. Like, I'm just going to ask, because I was also learning to just, reach out or follow this instinct. And maybe it wasn't even like completely from my instinct, but from another part that wanted to have the control. And that's totally okay. I mean, if you walk this journey, oh my gosh. So yeah, I went into this next door with like a liquid, open energy from my heart, and just, it's okay if you say no. I'm not attached to the outcome. So that's like unconditionally receiving. You are not attached to the outcome. You are just. So I went in, and wow. It was so beautiful because I didn't have any expectation. And then I asked, and the person said, no, we cannot do that. And I was like, okay. And a person that was standing at the register to pay for their own groceries heard me. And then this person came to me with this big bunch of bananas and like put them in my hand. And then other people started giving me things from the customers who were there. I was like, oh, wow. So for me, this was an example of, oh my God, I let go of this expectation or this fixation. Like, oh, I'm going to ask here and then the store needs to give this to me. So I took away the condition and the expectation, and I just still asked, and then it came to me in a different way. And that was like, yes, it gives me goosebumps now as well. So that's an important lesson as well. And another thing that now comes up into me is, yeah, I was sleeping a lot of times in the forest. And I mean, I slept outside sometimes, but this was a different, this was a different layer. So walking for hours and then becoming tired, and okay, I need to sleep somewhere. So the first time I reached this moment, wow, it's so beautiful and so deep what I could experience and how I could connect with all the conditionings that were there. And also really, really, really in deeper ways, starting to trust my intuition. Because of course, I'm a woman on my own in the forest and nature in Norway that I was never before, getting tired. Okay, I need to sleep somewhere. And I only had a sleeping bag with me and a little tarp that's like this waterproof sheet that I learned how to make knots, and I had rope to create a shelter from, with branches and trees and like. But yeah, it was open like. So the first times that I start sleeping like that, and you have to, because I was so tired of walking, and I was like, okay, I need to sleep. And the first times it was like a little bit uncomfortable, like, okay, so I'm just gonna now lay somewhere here. Am I safe? Am I? And then I was like, okay, I'm really, really gonna tune into my intuition and trust that I know where to sleep, really, really connect again with this pure nature side within ourselves. So, yeah, I just walked around and I was like looking around me and just told myself, I'm gonna walk, and then when there is a place, my body will tell me, and I will know, yes, here, and then I'm just gonna trust. So I did that. And usually it was like a big beautiful tree or somewhere where it was a little bit like hidden. But then, yeah, to have this moment of, okay, this is gonna be the place, setting up a little camp and just, yeah, doing that, making a little food, and then going to lay there with my sleeping bag just on the ground under a tree. And then the night comes in, the dark comes, and to really feel how it shifts when the dark comes, and wow, how amazing this shift is. And I think we experience a shift from day to night, like all of us are experiencing that, because something happens in the energy there. But I think many of us are not aware of it because we are so used to having, all the lights, and that we are not noticing the shifts anymore. But we are shifting in deep ways with our bodies, and there is a shift happening. But I was experiencing this shift like in even a deeper way when I was like going into the night. And also, okay, the whole nature is changing, like all the animals are changing, the birds are getting quiet, and then other creatures come out. And I was laying there. But to really, really feel, I mean, I'm a person, I always felt really connected to nature. But of course, I was cut off of that as well when I was in my teenage years, and I totally forgot. And I was like not feeling that anymore, with like hormones of birth control and like being in depression and like trying to fit in, and all the teenage stuff that we unfortunately go through, many of us, and like numbing myself with alcohol and drugs and everything. But yeah, um, but now to really, really be so raw and real again, and like just being there, vulnerable, and feeling this deep sense of connection again with nature. Like, okay, parts of me are getting into fear, but it's actually not true, because I felt my intuition told me I could sleep here. So I know that I'm safe because I know that I can trust it. And still, I had waves of feeling fear and not feeling safe. And I was just really, really connecting with that. And like when I was hearing sounds, I could see how my brain was like tuning into and like immediately making the worst of the stories. And then I was like, is this me? No, this is programmed, because I know I'm safe and I feel that I'm one with this nature. I feel that I'm one with all the beings that are here. I feel that I'm protected in deeper ways that I can even imagine. And I'm creating this. I'm here and I'm part of this. So I was connecting with that in many, many nights. And of course, this goes in waves. Like some days when I was feeling much stronger, other days when I was feeling much weaker within my emotional system. It's changing, and it's like a total ride. But it was so beautiful to connect with that and to really, really allow myself when I was laying there and I heard the sound to, okay, being so aware of this fear that came up in my body and to not have to react to that, but really feel it and welcome it and like just breathe and like feel and let it expand and let it expand, you know, and just observe all the images and the thoughts that were happening. And man, it's wow. And I felt that doing this off like over and over again, it just started to change as well. I was like noticing that I was starting to feel more and more one again, that there was more and more peace coming up. I was feeling more and more trust in my intuition, and the fear wasn't like as strong anymore in some points. And I had encounters that I was standing in front of a moose, you know, like in the middle of nowhere with the sunset, and then it was suddenly standing in front of my nose, and they are big but beautiful, right? And I became so used to that and being so much more a part and integrated of nature again that wow, these encounters, they became magical for me and normal for me, instead of in the beginning, you know, I was like, who's gonna be here? Ah, wow. So yeah, thank you for watching this. If you're still here following it, I think I'll leave it for now, but I will probably make another video about it and connect it with your questions, because if you have any questions. But this felt good to share now, and I think there are so many important messages in this story that we can really, really use now in deeper ways. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, for receiving this. I love to hear how this reflects back into you. If you recognize things out of it, or if it's like totally the opposite of what you could ever think of. And it doesn't mean that we all have to go through these experiences. This is my soul's unique journey, because I get that a lot too. Like a lot of people start, oh, but I don't think I ever could do that, but maybe I have to do that. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. We all have our unique roles. My soul wanted to experience this for a reason, to now being able to share this with you and yeah, be a bigger support in this time where we are in a big transformation and coming back to all of these deeper knowings again. So yeah, definitely doesn't mean we have to cut out money. No, really welcome money in the deepest ways possible, because it's all the energy that we are worthy of, and it's love, and it doesn't matter if it's in whatever ways, if it's money, if it's food, if it's love, if it's a hug, you know, it's all the same energy. Oh, and I'm like feeling inspired now. I'm remembering this other lesson that I got out of it. That's so, so, so important as well, in connection with others, when I had to knock on doors and in really bad weather conditions ask if I could have a place to sleep in someone's house, you know. But I will share that in the next video. My time is running out here, and yeah, stay tuned if you want to know more and you are not subscribed yet. So subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna share more of my life's journeys and lessons to hopefully inspire and to grow together and to create this new way of being together. I love you. Mwah.